I do want to talk about the premier game in the ACC, which was Florida State 38, Duke 20. Duke out to a 20-17 lead at halftime, and then Florida State's just able to pour it on late. Bud, what did you take me through what you saw throughout this process? Because we talked a lot about Riley Leonard, and then he went out there. I'll let you take the lead. I would say that it was obvious by the play calling he was not 100%. And by the quickness with which they told him to sit down. And he was doing the like, I'm young, I'm invincible, I can do whatever. Watch me run around, let me back into the game. And the cameras did a great job of capturing Mike Elko. Be like, Bud, like, I'm sorry, this is like, we need you for Louisville. I don't know if this is what he was saying, but it's like, we need you for Louisville. We need you for North Carolina. Like, we want to get
that before the game.
We need you to get perfect to the point where we'll have another shot at the Seminoles in Charlotte. So not 100%, but he started and Duke got off to a good start. What'd you see in it?
They did. I thought Duke started off the ball game really well by with some of their run blitzing. They did a nice job keeping FSU's run game off balance. Then FSU goes for it in their own end, and they don't get it. Duke had a nice stop there. They hit a nice run around the corner. FSU's corner didn't take a good angle. Duke's left tackle held the hell out of this guy. Look, they got called for like 6 or 7 holdings. So I'm not saying hey, Duke didn't get called for any holdings. It was fairly obvious that they could not pass protect on the night. Like we kind of had that thought going in, and Leonard was not able to really scramble around and protect himself from my perspective. Like watching him, I was like, oh man, if the ball's not out quick, he's in trouble. He ends up 7 of 16 on the night for 69 yards. Duke had a great run game plan. Like it was diverse. It was basically what we talked about in Big Game Breakdown. Like it really worked well. I was extremely impressed by what Duke did there. They just didn't ever have the passing game complement to it. I mean, 76 total yards. Leonard gets sacked on a drive where I think they either score on or pin FSU down at the 3. I'm trying to figure out what drive that was. No, it was the drive that they got stopped at the 3. But he gets sacked. Ankle is clearly not right. Gets up, if you guys didn't watch this, and then he immediately had to go back down to the ground. Never re-entered the game. I think if you're a Duke fan, it's an encouraging sign that he was able to jog around on the sideline, right? So if you're thinking ahead, like, shoot, we still have what? UNC, we still got Louisville, stuff like that. I think you'll probably have him. So could you make the argument that Duke shouldn't have played him in this game? Yeah. I would make that argument now, actually. Mm-hmm. Like that could have been a lot worse. His ankle really wasn't even hit. He just kind of landed on it funky. The backup, Henry Billing, just 1 of 6 on the night for 7 yards. It's basically a continuation of what we saw against NC State in some ways, but we didn't really know because the NC State game was so rainy and they had a lead. I was like, all right, 4 of 12, but what does that really mean? I guess we'll see. It's hard to complete it. Anybody really complete passes in no circumstance. On the FSU side, it's just hard to go with that team for 60 minutes, right? And Duke is definitely much more athletic than they've been, but they didn't take their first lead until what, like 12 minutes left in the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was still 20-17 Duke to start the fourth quarter, and then, like you mentioned, it was Henry Beelan running for his life. Right. I mean, just from a play calling perspective, Florida State defensive coordinator Adam Fuller was like, he's not going to be able to handle when we start throwing lots of different looks at him. This is his first ever road start, or not road start, but he is playing in homecoming, as I said 1,000 times on this week, but he is playing in front of, the full Doak crowd. That is hanging on for dear life for all of their hopes and dreams of what this season can be. And so, it was just tough spot for him to be able to go out and execute. What's the phrase that we sometimes use when we're talking about golf, where it's like things are moving very quickly right now?
Mm-hmm.
Henry Beelan IV looked like he was in a things are moving very quickly situation.
Yeah, 100%. It was a fun game to watch. I never really truly believed FSU was going to lose when I saw Leonard not be able to run around. Like even before he went out, I was like, okay, Duke's not going to rush for 400 on FSU. They almost rushed for 200.
Right.
But, like, they're not going to run for 400. Leonard can't really seem to step into these throws. I don't think he hit any deep shots, right? And he was not able to escape right outside the pocket and create, which is the best thing that he does, in my opinion. So it's like, okay. The fact that they played him, though, what does that say about what they really think of the backup?
Yeah.
That's what it's
like. That's why I was like, okay. This backup probably really can't play, at least not yet. I mean, I have high hopes for the kid long term, of course.
Yeah, Leonard shouldn't have been playing in this game. Like,
yeah, that's what.
Both from a strategy standpoint, because like you said, if he can't move, then you're taking away everything that makes him unique and special. You're taking away his best assets. Yeah. But also, like, I understand he wants to play and he says he can play through it, but we all saw the injury. We all know what it is. It's a high ankle sprain. That's not something that guys typically come back from in a couple of weeks.
And not a mild one.
Yeah.
Like, he's laying on the ground, like, writhing in pain. Yeah. I mean, we all saw it.
Yeah, and you saw it too tonight. Like, even before he, re-aggravated it, which I don't think he re-aggravated anything. I think it's been aggravated the entire damn time. But, like, there was one time where he scrambled and he didn't hurt himself on the scramble, but, like, it took him 5 minutes to stand back up. Like, it was this. I just didn't like the fact that he was in the game at all. I feel like it was a mistake on Duke's coaching staff part, and it was because they really didn't think they had a shot in hell of winning this game with Beelan in there if he was starting. But I don't know. I just didn't like. I didn't like the way it felt. I didn't like the vibe of it.
I don't know. This is where you get into that, like, very fine line of, if Riley tells you he's great, right? Because that was what you were seeing, right? I mean, and that's what we saw initially. Right off the bat, everyone's like, "Oh, he's out for a long time," and Mike Elko's saying, he's like, "I don't know. He's acting like everything's okay. He's going through all the rehab process." You see, Riley Leonard is still a developing, quarterback prospect. Everyone's excited about him because of how toolsy he is. Like, he still has some naivete, right, to this whole process, where he's not going to be having some of the same thoughts that your 5-star all throughout his high school career, who's had a million quarterback coaches, was recruited by everybody. Like, there's just going to be a different mindset with that kind of quarterback. Riley, the basketball player, is like, whatever. No, I'm good. Like, let's go. I'm just an athlete. Let's get it done. So I'm not going to go with mistake. I think that they listened to Riley. I think they gave him a shot. And I think that the second that there was anything that indicated there might be further injury, they made the tough decision, even at Leonard's protest, from what we were able to see.
Tough decision would have been telling him he can't play to begin with. Letting him play and then taking him out feels like an easy decision.
If he's unable to move around well at Louisville next week and they lose that, then we need to seriously revisit this, right? Like, I don't think that he's seriously re-aggravated. He's arguing to go back in the game. How much of that is adrenaline, I don't know. I'm hard pressed to believe that the shots he took tonight are going to help him be ready for next week.
It's fair. Anything else here stands out?
I mean, Duke really, really focused on taking away Keon Coleman, which I would too, honestly. He only had, I think, 2 catches on the night. They were pretty consequential, actually. But a lot of balls to tight ends. Jaheim Bell had multiple third downs converted. Just like, it's hard to cover everybody. They were really force feeding Johnny Wilson before Wilson went out of the game. I don't think that's long term. We'll see. I'm not a doctor.
Head injury was the broadcast suggestion.
That's kind of, when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's either a headshot, got the wind knocked out of him, or he got hit, down there. So, I mean, they have Wake and Pitt. Wake didn't have either of their 2 quarterbacks this week, so we'll see if he plays next week. But I don't think Norvell was probably super happy with the performance overall, given the lack of execution for like the first 15 minutes on offense. But then you look up and it's like, all right, you put up 438 points on a pretty good Duke defense. All right,